Welcome to the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast, episode 43. Today I am having a guest on. I do plan to share the part 2 of the cooking Q&A that I shared last week later this week, so that'll be episode 44. But for today, I am bringing on my friend Sarah from the blog She Holds Daily. I'll be doing a better introduction here shortly, but we're going to talk about trends and design and all of those fun things that I really enjoy when it comes to making a home. I enjoy making it beautiful and designing it. It's definitely one of my passions. I love to flip through magazines and design books and follow accounts like Sarah's on Instagram for inspiration. So let's dive into the interview. My name is Lisa, mom of 6 and creator of the blog and YouTube channel Farmhouse on Boone. Join me as I share with you my love for creating a handmade home from scratch cooking and a little mom and entrepreneur life along the way. So Sarah is my design and style loving friend. She has a beautiful home over in Washington State. She has a very classic design style. That is something I really appreciate because with implementing some of the strategies that she talks about, you don't have to constantly change things, which I find is probably the most frustrating and annoying thing about home decor to me because I like it, but I also just want it to look pretty for long periods of time. So we are going to talk about that, some of her tips for what to buy to choose classic choices, where you can save money, where to spend money. And so without further ado, here is my friend Sarah.
Hi, Lisa.
Welcome onto the show, Sarah.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on here. Sarah and I are real life friends. I'd say we probably have met or hung out at conferences, 2 or 3 times now?
Yeah.
Maybe just twice, maybe just Haven.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've met you more than that.
And we talk on the phone and stuff too. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's true. That does it. We were just off the camera talking about Sarah's membership for design and style. And she was telling me all about it. And I said, wait, hold that thought because we should actually just continue this conversation on the podcast. So let's pick up where we left off, where you can fill everyone in a little bit about it, about your membership.
Okay, so I'll just give you a little background on me too. I went to school for my design degree about 20 years ago to the London Guildhall University, and I really think that has affected my design choices now, just that old European, old world feel that I continue to come back to in my own home. So then after I went to school, then I did, what you would expect. I was in Seattle and did a lot of consulting and taking design clients. And during those few years of that, I started to feel like maybe this wasn't the best fit. Like I didn't necessarily fit in that crowd as well as I would have hoped to be, just because I really love old things and I love remaking things. And it didn't bother me to have to paint a client's, piece of furniture or to recover her couch. I don't know. It might be better now because I feel like it really did take off in the last few years, but that was really frowned upon.
Like the DIY.
Yeah. And so if I mentioned, I think we could find that Chase Lounge on Craigslist and we could just recover it. I was very looked down upon for that. That's okay. Like my sister works actually in Seattle and she totally works with that group and everything is brand new and everything is very trendy and very, very expensive. Like couches are like $20,000.
Oh my word.
And yeah. And a lot of designers make money. They make a lot of money by not so much their hourly rate, which is $100 to $200 an hour. They make money selling the product. They make commission.
Of course, like affiliates.
Yeah. And so, it's a great deal for them to sell a $20,000 couch. But in my heart, as I'm like showing these things to people, I'm like, oh, I just feel like I'm doing them a disservice. Like I could save them so much money. I know how to do this. I can see what we could do. That's just not what they wanted. And so I just over time began to think I need to reach a different crowd. I need to reach the girl who would never hire a designer even, but because she actually wants to do it herself. She gets a lot of joy out of the process and being able to say, I made this. And so I stepped back. We have 4 kids and have homeschooled and stuff. So that took my attention for many years. But then 10 years ago, we bought our 1906 farmhouse and gutted it and residential painting company. And there was a side to it that had remodeling as well. And so we're like, ooh, we're going to have a lot of fun with this house. And that is what really got me back into teaching design and like figuring out like, where do I fit in the design industry? Because as we would do the house, then we would put it on the blog. And actually, I didn't start the blog until 4 years ago. That was my...
So after you'd already been in your house for several years at that point.
Yes. And I wish I had known that I was going to do a blog because it would have done way better befores and afters.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, our last house, same story. I had already been there for 8 years before we started the blog. And I was like, I have no befores.
Yeah.
I wish I did because I'd have some great ones. But then we bought a different house. So we have that now.
Well, and people just love befores and afters. They're awesome.
They do. Yeah. And you had good ones.
I like yours too. I remember your painting that you had to deal with.
Yeah.
But my husband is pretty good at he likes to document his progress, so he would get pictures of things. So I do have some. But anyway, okay, that was a long answer. So the blog is one thing, but it's sort of impersonal. And I really wanted to like hone in and work with women who I like knew on a first name basis. And I could go into their homes and I could teach them DIY. Because I've got a few things that I don't like about what's offered out there with decorating. One is that even like on HGTV, you love the befores and afters and you kind of see like how they got there, but it goes pretty fast. But you never actually hear, why did Joanna Gaines choose that pillow?
Right. No.
Why did she put the fireplace over there? You don't know like the logistics of what's going on inside of a designer's brain. And I wanted to be able to communicate that to people. And so I started this group. It's called Behind the Scenes. And it's a monthly coaching group. We have class once a week. And then there's a Facebook group that goes on, around the clock and people can ask questions. And I do a lot of it, but as it's grown, the community is there and they help each other a lot too, which is really fun to see. And there's some really good design minds in that group. Another thing that is ignored in design circles is the need to declutter first.
Oh, yes.
So each first week of the month, we do our monthly decluttering challenge. And then we spend a full year, but we declutter every single thing in our houses. Like last month, it was our craft rooms or like sewing rooms, those kind of spaces.
Oh, that's a good one.
And oh my word, the before and after pictures were horrific because we're all a bunch of creatives, which have been doing this for decades. And so the amount of fabric and paper and wrapping and paint and all that. So we got that done last month. So that's the first thing we do just to clear the slate. And then the second week, we do what I call design school. I teach either what I learned in design school, which is there's a lot of formulas and things because you need to move fast when you're actually doing consultations. So those things are really helpful. And then how to figure out floor plans and mood boards and get samples and how to coordinate fabrics. And so I do a lot of that. And then also throw in DIY training because that's the crowd we have. Like these people really, they want to get their own tools and they want to do their own upholstery. And so like this week, I am teaching a hour-long upholstery class and show them how to make covered buttons and how to do tufting and basic slipcover skills. And yeah, so it's super fun. And then I bring in guest speakers too. Then the third week, we go into it's a Bible study. We go into deeper issues about jealousy and contentment and stuff going on in our marriages and what the Bible says about different things. And so that sometimes I feel like gets dropped in the design community. We just talk about the things and not about the heart issues and how to love our families better. And
yeah, why you would create a beautiful space.
Yeah. And the very first class I ever taught we call that Grace Week. Number 3, the third week is Grace Week. The first class I taught, it was about why we even want to design, because I think we get a lot of flack for that. I've been called shallow a lot, or materialistic for caring so much about my home. And I really think that is actually the image of God in us, because the first thing we learn about God is that He created and made beautiful, beautiful things. And so I really wanted to encourage the women to not be ashamed of their desire to make things beautiful.
Right, yeah.
You can totally go off the deep end and go in debt and be a psycho about it.
You can be shallow about it,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to come from that intention, and you have to check your
heart.
motivation
Yeah, your
sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
But just the desire in general, I think, is very healthy and very beautiful, and it shouldn't be something to be ashamed of. Okay, so that's the third week. Fourth week is, I call them your turn consultations, and that's where we do Zoom meetings, and I go into their houses.
How cool.
And they just turn their phones on, and we would walk around, and I usually can get like 6 houses done in that hour, and they'll be like, I don't know which light to choose in my bathroom, or, what would you do with this brick around our fireplace? So that's really fun. So you get to start to know people's spaces. And
I feel like I want to join this group.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I have some spots in my home that I'm stumped over, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be nice to have some more eyes on this.
Yeah, and I think I get stuck in my own house too, because I just look at it for too long. And so having someone else go,
I think that's it.
Yeah. You just get to, and honestly, I do think that is one of the benefits of being a DIY decorator, is that you do get to live in your space. You get to know it so well, and you can make your house such a piece of art that if you're paying me $100, $200 an hour to come in and do, I'm going to have to move so fast and throw out ideas that I've just done before,
Right, yep.
It won't have the character that if you knew how to do it yourself, you could do it. Even so, there are still some spots that you just get hung up on, and you're like, I don't know, I just can't figure it out.
I have, and we can go more in depth in this later, but I have trouble in my last house and this house with living rooms. Is that a thing? Like living rooms? Or are those supposed to be easy? Because for me, they're not. I don't know why.
I think living rooms are hard.
Okay.
And they're really important because it's where people, where your guests are sitting. So you got to be comfortable. You got to be able to talk to each other. You probably want to watch TV, without making a big scene of this TV taking up too much space. Or too much of a focal point.
Right, yes.
Yeah, I do think they're tricky.
We can go more in that. So yeah, we'll finish this topic, and then I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so that's the behind the scenes group, and it is definitely the heart of what I do with my business, and it's where I put most of my energy. We only are open twice a year, so there's a wait list, and if anyone is interested and it sounds like this is the perfect fit, you can head to sheholdsdearly.com, and there's a top bar always up on the blog with the button to go join the wait list. We open again. I'm going to open it in end of September. I like to do it like 4 or 5 days, and then we shut it down, and I focus on who we have, getting to know them, getting to know their spaces, getting them taken care of. So
that's awesome, because that can just, as a blogger to blogger right now, that can just be your thing for 6 months. Like that's what you are focused on. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't feel pressure to keep trying the next thing.
No, you don't have to get on or stay on they call it the content treadmill.
Yeah. And I told you, it's a 3-year thing. So after the 3-year mark, this thing will be totally on autopilot. I'll just start reteaching the same classes, which is going to be nice.
Oh, that is going to be nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That seems like a really neat resource.
Thank you.
Let's jump into some design things. First, let's talk about our styles, because this is something that is difficult to narrow down. I know me personally, I think I have about 4 different styles that I want to meld into one, and sometimes it doesn't work out for me. So how do you do that?
Okay, that is a really, really good question, and I'm really opinionated on it.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm a little bit of a rebel in that department, because I see everywhere bloggers saying, what's your style? Take this quiz and figure out your style. And I don't think it's super helpful for people. So I try to touch on it quickly, and then I move on to another method. But I understand why people are asking it. I compare it to if you were in South America and you wanted to go to Canada and you needed a compass to tell you to go north. That's about how helpful knowing your design style is. And maybe I'm being a little bit cynical there. So I know that I love farmhouse. You and I both are drawn to the old simplicity.
Yes.
And the old styles. And that's good to know. But a lot of people out there are just going, I love farmhouse. And that could be rustic.
Ooh, I completely agree with you there because there's so many. If you search farmhouse on Pinterest, I don't like pretty much any of it at all. So, but I would say I like farmhouse, but I don't like that. No. So that
I know.
Yeah.
I think too, as bloggers, we probably are kind of forced to use that word because it is
searched.
It's popular and people feel like they know what it means. And so I I just use it all the time.
Same.
But is it rustic farmhouse? Is it cottage farmhouse? Is it French? Is it modern? Is it Victorian, bohemian, craftsman? I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So yes, we get a broad clarity of we need to walk north. But if you want to get to Quebec, Canada, you're going to need a lot more information. I kind of with my students in the behind the scenes group, I gloss over that pretty fast. And then I actually think the era of your house is a little bit more helpful. And you found out.
I agree with that, but that's been tricky a little bit for me because I didn't realize the style I was stepping into. And I find that things still will look off whenever I want them to not. I don't really know why, but I can always tell when they don't look right.
So I right away have my girls get really good on Pinterest. And in fact, I used to do this before Pinterest when I had clients. And they would tear pages out of magazines. And I wouldn't even meet with them until they had done that. Because they may think they know what they want, but until I see what they are subconsciously drawn to, I can't make it happen for them.
That is true.
And that's the same with myself and everybody. So lots of times I would go and I would meet with the gal and she'd go, I really want a leather couch. And she would go, these are the ones I'm looking at. And I would go, okay, let me see your magazine tear outs. Now it would be Pinterest boards. And I'm looking through all of them and I'm like, you don't have leather couches in here. You have 20 white slipcover couches.
It's funny you say that though, because I bought a leather couch for my living room and was just thinking, I've thought about it a lot. Today was the first time that I finally came to grips with that I'm going to have to get rid of it. I was like, it'll work. I can make it work. I don't like it. I'm trying to bring in other furniture that makes it work, but it just doesn't work. And today was the first time I was like, you know what? It's okay. I can't make it work and that's fine. I'm going to pick something else,
Yes. Oh, that is such a good point because I call those the bullies in the room.
Yeah. It's I'm going to make everything work around this. I'm going to keep buying things that make it look right. No.
And
I'm not going to do that.
And now you don't like the room at all. The whole room is off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a bully piece. And
it's a bully piece. I love that.
I feel like it takes at least a week to know.
Oh no, it took me a year. Well, I knew right away.
Did it take you a year?
Well, I knew, but it was expensive, but it's, so you know what I mean? Is going to work. And then now it's fine. You know what?
I felt guilty.
The pain has worn off enough that no, it's not,
Yeah. And usually it's because of money or it's because of sentimental value.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. I could totally see either of those. Yep.
Yes. And so, in fact, I'm kind of getting ahead of our talk here, but that is one of the reasons I love thrifting and DIY because it takes that money pressure of, oh my gosh, I spent $2,000 on that thing. It takes that weight down.
Well, Sarah, this was the first time I spent money on anything ever.
Oh my gosh.
I literally have only ever bought Craigslist furniture, super cheap. And so this was the first time I was ever made the decision that I'm going to spend some money and buy me a nice couch. And so that's why I think it's even more painful.
Was it brand new?
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess you could return it, but at some point you can't.
Well, it was brand new a year ago.
Yeah.
I already thought about it though. I'm going to give it to my sister and she needs a new couch. She would love it. And so that will make me feel good.
Yes.
That'll be fine.
Good compliment. Yeah. Or I would say list it on Craigslist.
Yeah. I would feel even better giving it to her because, Craigslist, you're not going to get what it's worth.
Yeah.
But then I need you to help me figure out what I should put in here so I don't do it again.
Okay. That's good. That's a good lead in because this is what I tell people. And I know you already do this. But maybe you haven't realized how valuable it is too. Your Pinterest boards are going to tell you what will work. So I have my girls set up a Pinterest board for every room in their house and then one for every season in the year. And then they need one for lighting, wall decorations, like pieces of decoration. So furniture, what else? Doors, windows, pillows, stuff like that. And I tell them to fill those boards, and it has to be like, it's like going to the spa or like taking a bubble bath. Like this is totally relaxing and fun, and you are not thinking at all. No pressure.
Well, that I already have down. I love doing that.
It's so relaxing. That's good.
That is not a problem. I might actually do it while in the bubble bath, actually, with my phone.
So I would say once you have like 200 pins on a living room board for you.
Oh, wow. I have not gone that deep. Okay. I can manage that because we're too busy with like spring stuff to even think about redecorating this. So when I'm sitting in my bubble baths at the end of the night, I will start my 200 pin quota here.
Yes. And since we're talking couches, go ahead and just look at living rooms. And it has to be ones that like, when you see the living room, and I mean, you can Google search for, farmhouse living rooms. And then when you see the living room, it needs to spark joy in you. You need to actually like feel a little reaction, like, oh, I love that. And just pin it. And don't think about why you love it. Just get that reaction. And anytime you have that reaction, it goes on the board. And then once you hit, I say like 200 pins. Then you step back and you go, now I'm going to analyze what was speaking to me. And I mean, there's always some random things, but I really like to then break the room down. So if you need to look at mantles, look at just the mantles in those 200 pictures and start finding your similarities. And then if you need to look at rugs or like furniture layouts, like how are the armchairs like situated around the fireplace? What kind of couches are in there? What kind of window treatments are in there? And if you look at just those pieces, you'll begin to see patterns and go with those. And you'll probably get like 3 or 4 good leads on what would work for your couch.
Okay.
I really believe like you should make it as real as you can once you've got your like 3 or 4 ideas of what you want. So take whatever couch you have and cover it with white sheets for the slipcover look, or, like try to change the color or the shape as best you can, like mock up the pillows the way you kind of think it would look, and just kind of live around that fake like mock-up couch idea. Live around it for a week and see if you liked it. And then I would try to get it at a price that you don't feel like you're going to choke on if it doesn't work out. That's kind of the process that I go through. But so hopefully that helps.
That does. I think I just need to be more patient. We moved into this house, and within 3 months, I was completely making over the living room, and I just didn't give it enough thought. And I already had it in my head from my last house that I've always wanted a leather couch. And so I just thought, I'm going to buy one and it'll work. And then I think it's the Victorian style and the shape of the couch. Not so much that it's not a nice couch, because it is. It's just, I hadn't thought through Victorian, and that is definitely what my house is. That's the vibe it's given off. So something I need to think about more.
Do you feel like it's too like visually heavy?
Oh my gosh. Yes. It is like yes, it's so heavy. That's exactly what it is. And then I also have to get new chairs because my slipcover chairs have just been through the ringer. They have holes all over, and yes, I could repair them, but I'm just done with them.
Done. Yeah.
So I just have to move in a whole new direction. Like I need everything, honestly, for this room. So I think I'll just sit on it for a while and not, I'll pin 200 pins and maybe I'll redo it next fall.
And I'm curious to know why you really wanted the leather. Did you want it because it's easy to clean with the kids?
Well, I just wanted to be over white slipcovers. I don't really know why. Maybe I'm not. But I just wanted to be over everything white. I wanted some color.
Yeah.
And I really like wood. And I think what I also need to do in this room is bring in some window treatments and drapes with some structure to it. Mm-hmm. I did my linen tie curtains, but what happened is the ceilings are too tall. So something flowy in this room just isn't right. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's more of a grander room. Yeah. And then I have these flowy curtains, and I never saw it coming that it wouldn't work. But then after you're in here for a while, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
So I have all kinds of problems in this room.
So it sounds like in your house, you would want like daintier pieces of furniture, like maybe a velvet covered couch with some tufting.
Oh my goodness. I just pinned that today and I could not find it though. Like I've pinned the most perfect tufted velvety couch, but then it doesn't, of course, on Pinterest, it was in a room and it didn't have the source, but I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Put a little bit of formality in there. And then, yeah, I think you're right about the drapes. Drapes are really, a lot of times,
need structure.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people will be like, they'll say, I want an accent wall. Like this, I just need to ground this room. I need an accent wall. And I'll look at their space and I'll be like, actually, you just need some good, strong drapes. Good color, good solid fabric. So yeah, maybe some velvety.
Yes, solid. See, what I have now is white linen with ties at the top, and it is so not right. They don't work at all.
And even like some good heavy curtain rods.
Totally. That is, and I have a Pinterest board, and it doesn't have near the number of pins that you said, so I need to fix that. But it definitely has exactly what you're saying, all of that.
Cool. I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Yeah, it'll be a minute, but yeah, it'll be after spring for sure.
Yeah.
We're busy outside now. Okay, this is something I wanted to ask you. I guess this probably all is going to go back to your 200 pins, but how do you avoid bringing in a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different random places? Because I love the collected look, and I feel like I achieved it in my kitchen, and I really love my kitchen, but I didn't achieve it in here. I almost feel like I have to define a style so that whenever I go bring a bunch of stuff in, it actually goes in. Because I'm bringing stuff in from antique shops and from new and old, and you know, you want it to go.
Yeah. It's overwhelming how many choices there are. And it's definitely trial and error. Even if having done this for many, many years and having a degree and everything, every designer out there is doing trial and error constantly. So don't feel bad about that. In fact, I usually will try 3 things, and I just know like it's going to be 3 tries before I actually get it. And so like keep your receipts.
Yeah. And don't order online, I guess.
Yeah. I'll do a lot of returning. If I'm ordering from eBay or Etsy or something, I try to make sure that there is that I could return it or get it at a low enough price that I don't cry when it doesn't work.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think like knowing, like you're saying, like Victorian, my house is 1906. So that's actually still really still Victorian, but I like to bring in rustic elements because we also have a farm. Well, you do too. So I'll go along the lines of like old English farmhouse.
But your house can stand more of the straight lines and the flowy linens than it seems like mine can.
Oh, because of your millwork and stuff, or?
I don't know. I really don't. But it just does. Like your house it looks good with like the same things I try in my house. It just doesn't seem to work as well.
You know, I find as I'm decorating, like go down what I think is right. I encourage my girls in the behind the scenes, like become a button pusher. If you think it'll work, just try it. You're constantly going to be pivoting, but you've got to try stuff if you're going to be able to pivot. And so a lot of times I'll go down the path of what I think is going to be good. And then like, I kind of feel like I keep in my back pocket ideas that are masculine and feminine, if that makes sense. So like when I was redoing our downstairs bathroom, I felt like it was getting too feminine, like too lacy and almost frumpy. Specifically, the shower curtain took me like months to figure out. And I kept trying all these like really feminine things. And then I finally went, this room is too feminine. I need some dark color. I need some like metal in here and just straight lines. And so I ended up painting probably like the cheapest shower door you could have ever picked. But there's a shower door on the stand-up shower down there. And I ended up painting that thing to look like oil rubbed bronze. And so it's just the like straight lines and the dark color. I felt like it threw the whole room back into balance to where it wasn't too feminine. And then likewise, if I'm I don't have enough like fabric or light colors or, you know, some lacy textures or tassels or something, I will pivot in that direction in a space and bring it back. So a lot of times as you're going down the path, it will be that you're getting too masculine or too feminine. And you can swing it back by switching the next step out the opposite, like making it darker or heavier or lighter or softer. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, we've talked about a lot of good stuff. How do you navigate trends and, you know, going in a direction that's too trendy that you redo your whole house and then you end up needing to change it?
Yes.
Or it doesn't really go with your house?
I'm not opposed to them. I think that they're super fun. I mean, any of us that love our homes and decorating, like we love trends and that's fine. But I would say with trends, be sure that you are okay with getting rid of it in 5 10 years. 10 years, absolutely. In 10 years, everything's going to be switched. And it's already starting to switch. Like shiplap it's not out, but give it like 5 more years and it will be like so yesterday.
It's already getting there.
It's getting there. People are starting to paint them black instead of white. Trends are created by either they're manufactured or they're organic. And so the manufactured ones are like the design magazines and the design industry. And I feel like they really try to push things and they may or may not take off. Like copper appliances were supposed to be really cool a few years ago and I don't think they took off. This year's color of the year is royal blue. I don't know I think navy blue is a lot more popular right now than royal blue. And like hunter green as like accent pieces and like cabinets, like lower cabinets and kitchens and things. So there's the push that the design industry tries for. And then there's the organic trends, which come from the bloggers and the Instagrammers and the YouTubers. And those are the things that really take off. Like this year, I would say like I see a lot of mustard yellow, kind of 80s colors coming back. Mustard yellow, hunter green, navy blue. Those are more natural things that I think are going to last a lot longer, like 10 years. So I think trends are fine as long as you don't lock yourself in. So I always use this example. When we redid our house, I was like, this is my dream house. And I'm going to pull out all my ideas that I've been holding on to for 10 years. There's your like red flag right there.
Oh, I remember you saying that on your kitchen video. Sarah and I collaborated on a kitchen renovation regrets video, and you were saying that it was your dream kitchen, and that's where you messed up or something.
Be careful when you say it's a dream kitchen, dream anything. You can still love things, but don't drop thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars like I did.
Okay, that's what happens whenever you dream.
Yeah.
Is you drop.
You can. And so I feel really bad about that, but I put in granite counters that I had picked out now 20 years ago. And I had torn the picture out of the magazine. And I share that in the video, the picture that was my inspiration picture. And I paid for those things. And now with blogging, like it's really actually difficult to photograph on granite. So it's hard for me to like do recipes and stuff in my kitchen. Granite is going to last for thousands of years. There's no way that my love for it is going to last as long as it's going to last. So I tell people, be very careful with your stone and your tile, the things that are going to last for hundreds of years. Those are the things that when people walk into a home they're trying to buy, they're like, ew, the tile in the bathroom has to go.
But how do you ever keep those classic? Like, I think I've made classic choices, but have I?
I think that I know you. I know that you have chosen classic things. But if you don't know Lisa's stuff, I always advise people to do white subway tile. It is the most classic for tile. Carrara marble is one of the most classic countertop. They say like white cabinets are the least opposed. And of course right now they are. But I mean like throughout the last 50 years, white cabinets in your kitchen are the most accepted if you were going to resell. I'm not so stuck on that because it's just paint. Like you can repaint your cabinets.
Exactly. I know I've already thought about like making over my cabinets. Like, oh, I could make them green and then I could bring them back to white, you know?
Yeah. Be real comfortable with the paint thing. I would say go nuts with that, with trends. Because it's just paint.
Yeah.
It's the best. But so like for floors, I would say medium tone wood floors. Those will be fine for 50 years, you know? And they're not going to make people like curl up and go, I can't buy this house. I don't think anyone should decorate to please the next buyer. I think that's kind of dumb. You got to love your space. But I mean, those are kind of some things. Oh, stainless steel appliances are the most easy, classic type things. So I guess I've talked a lot about trends. For classics are those kinds of things that are like, they are big pieces. They're like solid, kind of quiet, kind of like that friend that you've had since grade school. That's like, you just always know your friends. And even though you haven't talked to them a couple years, you could totally pick up where you left off. Like that kind of a relationship with this piece that's just kind of always there. Just real solid.
Yeah.
Real kind of quiet. That's the way I describe classic pieces. And I think that those are worth investing in. Anything that you wouldn't want to change out in 10 years because of the price, you shouldn't do it. That's kind of my rule of thumb.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's where you have to go classic. Anything that's going to be too expensive that in 10 years, it's still going to hurt to pay for it again, you know?
So the kinds of things that I would have fun with are like accessories for sure. Like faucets, doorknobs, wall decorations, pillows. those kinds of things that aren't like part of the house, I would freely enjoy those things and spend, if it's $25 or even like, I kind of personally have a $500 limit.
Of something that isn't going to be really classic.
Yeah. And I could probably turn around and resell that for $200 maybe, and then get the next item for $200 and keep it moving. So a lot of it comes down to money.
Definitely. And that's where that bully comes in whenever you feel like you've made the wrong choice.
And I think, like you said, it might even take you a year to admit that, you know what, I really don't like you.
Right.
You need to go.
Well, I think from here on out, though, it's really smart to buy things from local places so that you can return them. Because you almost do have to try it out. To just spend a whole bunch of money and expect it to work perfectly the first time is not really going to be wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the times I would splurge would be, well, one, if you can afford it. Anytime your house has like a safety issue or structural issue, I would spend what you need to spend on that. And then if it's something that you have wanted a long time and your Pinterest boards are confirming that you have wanted it a long time, I say
go for it. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm definitely going to use that tip. So what are your tips for not ending up with a cookie cutter? A designer came in, made it over, or, you went to Pottery Barn and just bought the whole room.
Which is totally what I was doing when I was taking design clients. I think that the sad part for me was that their home didn't have a lot of character, didn't have a lot of stories. I think anytime you're bringing in stories, your home is so much richer for it. Like, where did you get that? And how did you make that? And who gave that to you? Like, having a background to the different pieces is going to bring a lot of life into any era of home that you're in. When we bought our place, we wanted to see if we could do the whole thing and have it 90% DIY and secondhand. And we've totally done that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know, like with you, Lisa, and then like all of our followers, like I feel like that rings true for them as well. Like they're really drawn to that type of thing. You get that kind of character by making it and by getting good at thrifting. I think too, like being able to look, like especially like these girls that are dealing with newer homes, like track homes, looking at how to change the surfaces to make them have more character or fit a certain era a little better. Like remember in the 80s or even like early 90s, they did like these like alcoves everywhere in houses. All these shelves like that were like built in and like cut out these areas that just had like cutouts. Like I don't know if you're supposed to.
Definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Those are so hard. My sister is dealing with that in her house and she keeps like trying to like, I'll just decorate it. And that's a bully, right? I say minimize that thing somehow.
Don't decorate it. Like make it somehow disappear.
Don't try to dress it up. If you hate it, it needs to go. So try to do something like sheetrock the thing. Like get rid of it.
Right, like actually get rid of it.
Make it go away. Like hang a mirror over that alcove so people don't even know what's back there. So get rid of those pieces that make you feel like you're stuck in an era that you don't want to be in. Try to boil it down and tackle those one at a time. And then bring in tons of your own character, your own story pieces and, change out the faucets and the hardware on the cabinets and the doorknobs. And I call that the house jewelry.
Yeah.
And all the lighting, those things, pick those off one at a time and you'll get a real custom looking home with a lot of character to it.
Great tips. So many good things. We could talk about this forever, I think.
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay. Well, tell us again where we can find you, where the best place to find you.
Okay. So I'm over at sheholdsdearly.com. That's my blog. And from there, it will take you to, Instagram and my Pinterest boards if you need a jump start on some good vintage design. I have all those set up. You can borrow from there. And then I have a YouTube channel. And of course, my deepest love is that design group where I get to work one-on-one with my girls and build community there. And that, again, the wait list, you'll find it on the top bar of sheholdsdearly.com, and it opens again in the fall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. It was super fun. Good to catch up too.
Thank you so much for listening to that interview. I hope that you left a little bit inspired and maybe with some ideas. If you have not yet grabbed my free farmhouse style ebook, you can grab that at bit.ly/farmhouse on Boone style. As always, thank you so much for listening to the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast, and I will see you in episode 44.